Picture this, you're staring at a dark screen and a countdown timer is just steadily ticking away. 7 days. 7 days before the absolute biggest launch of this founder's life. And honestly, everything looked completely perfect. We are dropping right into the middle of a seriously tense reality today. Looking at a Web3 creator's flawless product is exactly 1 week away from going live to the entire world. I mean, the stakes couldn't possibly be higher, right? In this ecosystem, a flawless product means perfectly audited smart contracts, a beautifully designed user interface, and highly optimized mechanics that are literally ready to scale to the moon. This founder hadn't slept a full night in weeks. He was running on pure adrenaline, fueled by the absolute certainty that he was about to release a massive game changer. Okay, let's dive into this because this is where the story gets really fascinating. Leading up to this crucial moment, the product worked beautifully. The technology behind it was incredibly impressive, and the team had literally spent months building out this intricate infrastructure. The subgraphs were syncing, the front-end deployment was seamless, and the liquidity pools were primed and ready to go. They felt invincible, because the tech was bulletproof. But despite all that impressive architecture, and despite those endless, grueling nights of coding, debugging, and testing, a fatal flaw remained hidden just out of sight. A massive vulnerability that, honestly, no smart contract auditor could ever catch. The devastating truth? Almost nobody knew they existed. And that deafening silence, it almost killed the entire launch before it even began. Because the harsh reality of Web3 is simply this. Having a great product without trust means absolutely nobody will care. You can have the most revolutionary, elegant code in the world, but if there is no trust, well, there is no audience. Think about it. In an industry where one wrong click or one bad contract interaction can drain a user's entire wallet in seconds, skepticism is the default setting. If people don't know who you are, your beautiful code isn't seen as an innovation. It's literally seen as a threat.
Part 1. The Invisible Founder. Let's rewind this founder's journey just a bit to understand exactly how they got to this critical point. Like so many crypto and Web3 founders, he fell into a naive but incredibly common belief that a truly great product will simply speak for itself. The logic seemed bulletproof at the time, right? Build something immensely valuable, launch it into the wild, and let the community naturally discover its brilliance. For months on end, that was the entire plan.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark divide between what the team became completely obsessed with and what they completely missed. On one side, we have what they built, the complex smart contracts, the intricate token mechanics, the strategic partnerships, all that heavy back-end development. They were deep in the builder's cave, getting every single mathematical detail right. But on the flip side, we see their fatal blind spot. They completely ignored attention, visibility, and story. It's an incredibly dangerous assumption to believe that great tech equals guaranteed success, while entirely ignoring the fundamental human need to capture attention and spark imagination before you go live. You can perfect your tokenomics all day long, but if you forget to give people a reason to care about the project in the first place, those tokens are practically invisible. Part 2. The Sound of Silence. So launch day finally arrives. The website is completely ready. The product is officially live on mainnet. But the reality they faced was painful. Instead of a massive influx of eager users crashing their servers, the live product was met with complete and utter silence. No major conversations happening on X, no industry recognition, no deep dive articles being written, and absolutely zero new user trust. The reaction was the complete opposite of the triumphant parade they had imagined in their heads. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that happened. The root cause of that silence came down to a ridiculously dangerous time split. Look at this. 99% of their time was spent isolated, writing code, while a mere 1% was spent actually talking to the community. This glaring disparity in the founder's time allocation leading up to that failed launch is the exact trap so many technical teams fall into. Being heads down in the code is often treated as a badge of honor, but it creates a massive disconnect. They built this incredible destination, a flawless piece of software, but they never bothered to build a road to help anyone actually get there. Instead of eagerly asking, "How do I join?" the broader community was looking at this freshly launched project and asking one simple, highly skeptical question. Who are these people? The community was staring at a totally unknown team, asking for their time, their attention, and their hard-earned financial investment. Naturally, their immediate instinct was hesitation. In a space fundamentally built around the concept of transparency, anonymity without a proven track record only breeds suspicion. If they don't know you, they won't click your links. Part 3. The Turning Point.
This was the moment the founder had to sit down, pull up the analytics dashboard, and face a deeply uncomfortable realization. The problem wasn't the underlying technology. The problem wasn't the grand vision either. The core problem was the total and complete absence of a narrative. Nobody knew the human story behind the code, and without a story, there was no emotional or logical connection to the product whatsoever.
Just look at that. For 3 whole months leading right up to launch day, community growth had completely flatlined. Zero momentum, zero organic chatter. So the crucial point is this. Crypto investors don't just blindly invest in products. They invest in credibility, and they invest in people. They are constantly looking to de-risk their involvement, which means they invest in founders they believe will still be there tomorrow, next week, and next year, to weather the inevitable market storms. When you have a flat line of engagement, you have a flat line of trust. A dead community leading into a launch signals to everyone else that the project is essentially dead on arrival. Part 4. Changing the strategy. It was time for a massive, uncomfortable pivot. The founder had to stop hiding behind the safety of the compiler and start actively building in public. This meant stepping out of the shadows, joining the conversation, appearing on Spaces, giving candid interviews, and actually getting featured in industry articles. Instead of only tweeting about technical features and node infrastructure, they had to become visible and start communicating the much bigger picture. Let's move to and see how this builds a completely new proactive strategy. 3 simple steps. Step 1, tell the bigger story. Why was this project created in the first place? What's the grand vision for the ecosystem? Step 2, explain the actual problem being solved for the user in plain English, definitely not developer jargon. And step 3, prove why this specific team can be trusted to execute this massive vision. This wasn't about begging for users. This was about establishing absolute visibility and a rock-solid narrative before ever asking a single user to connect their wallet or take an action. We really need to draw a hard line here regarding credibility. Credibility is the quality of being trusted and believed in, and it absolutely must be prioritized over temporary hype. The goal of all this new storytelling and public building wasn't to generate cheap, fleeting hype just to pump up a secondary launch. Hype is just temporary price action and empty noise. The true goal here was to build genuine credibility and deep-seated trust that lasts long after launch day has passed. Credibility is the only thing that keeps users sticking around when the market turns red. Part 5. Building trust before launch. The results of this new, transparent strategy, well, they were remarkable. Slowly but surely, the entire atmosphere changed. By letting people in on the messy, real journey of building, brand recognition just blossomed. The community became highly engaged. Meaningful, organic conversations started happening. People were actually defending the project in Discord servers and sharing it proactively on social media long before the next major announcement was ever made. They were finally laying down the bricks for that road. They adopted a strict timeline to ensure this momentum compounded perfectly. 1 month out, they focused heavily on external media and telling the macro narrative. Then, 2 weeks out, they shifted to deep, interactive community engagement, directly answering questions and really absorbing feedback. By the time the new launch day arrived, they weren't introducing a stranger to the market anymore. The entire dynamic had flipped. The second launch was introducing a known, respected project that the community already understood, anticipated, and most importantly, trusted. Launch day became a celebration of shared progress rather than a desperate pitch. Remember this rule. Trust is not created on launch day. Trust is built before people ever see your product. For all the founders watching this explainer right now, please take note. The absolute biggest mistake you can make isn't building too slowly, and it isn't launching with a few minor bugs. It is staying invisible for too long. If you wait until your product is flawlessly perfect to start talking about it, you have already lost the battle for attention. The market simply moves too fast to wait for you to find your voice. I want to leave you with one final provocative question to really ask yourself today. When people hear your name, do they already know your story? Because the projects that win tomorrow won't just be the ones with the most advanced technology, the fastest execution, or the slickest smart contracts. They will absolutely be the ones with the strongest, most resilient trust. So look at your own roadmap and ask yourself, are you building that trust today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I truly hope this fundamentally changes how you approach your next big launch.
Subscribe and visit Web3 Newswire for visibility and credibility of your Web3 projects.